this box may contain heartbreak. Hey guys, so today we're going to be playing with the brand new Chanel blushes. They've been reformulated. My heart literally like leapt out of my torso when I saw that. I love Chanel blushes and I really hope they didn't mess this up. So I ordered 5 of them off of the Nordstrom site. We are going to play with them. We are going to cheek swatch all of them. I'll also arm swatch them for you. And I'll give you kind of like my first impressions of this new formula. I'm really upset because they keep doing this. I don't know why. Like why? Why would you fix what's not broken? Like so not broken. It's not even like their blushes are fine. Their blushes are great. And I just don't understand. So let's dive into this box here. I kind of don't remember what I ordered. I know I ordered 5, right? Yeah, I think I ordered 5. All right, so from what I could tell off of the Nordstrom site, some of the shades are like repeated from the previous line, and then there seem to be some new shades. So I ordered a little bit of both, I think. So I did order ALEZANE, MALICE, Rose Initial, and Jersey. Those are all the ones that sounded kind of familiar to me. And then one of the newer ones was Brun Rouge. And I think this is probably going to be too deep for me. It's hard to tell off of the Nordstrom site because they all looked really deep. But anyway, let's go ahead and unbox all of these. The packaging is all the same with the velvet pouch and, you know, the typical compact here. I do also have the older versions of the 4 shades that I got that I kind of recognize the name. So again, that's Malice, ALEZANE, Jersey, and Rose Initial. So we'll do some comparisons. All right, well, let me tell you what I have on my face. I don't have any cheek products on my face aside from some powder. I didn't even put foundation down because I was just gonna be removing all these cheek swatches. So I put powder down just so I had a nice little canvas here, but no bronzer, no highlight. Want to get a true sense of these blushes. Let's start with the new shade and then we'll go into the 4 and the comparisons and all of that stuff. So the new shade that I got is Brun Rouge 604. And again, I think this is probably going to be too deep for me. Oh, maybe not. Oh, this does look really beautiful though. That is a shade that is calling my name. It has like a burntness to it, like a burnt terracotta-ness to it. And here is a swatch of it. And the first thing I'm noticing is that these blushes are much more matte than their other blushes. And I really like a sheen to my cheek products. So I'm not so happy right now, but that's okay. We're gonna keep going. So I've got my Sojiji Cheek Pro Brush. I'm gonna dip into the shade. Pigmentation is definitely on the softer side. I do feel like with the, I don't know if I should call them the original blushes because I don't know if these blushes had been reformulated from something else. But anyway, the previous formula of the Chanel blushes, it kind of depended on what shade you were using. Some were very pigmented and some were a little bit softer. So I would say for this particular shade, this Brun Rouge, it is on the softer side because by looking at this, I would think, clown cheeks, I'm going to look like a little bit crazy, but I think it looks fine. It has like a fairly soft application. So there is Brun Rouge on, I'm gonna have to put it on both cheeks. I was gonna do like swatches, like different swatches on each cheek, but I just can't get a good sense of something if it's just on one side. I just feel like it looks weird. So let me apply it over here. Okay, so there it is applied to both sides. I really do like this shade. I do wish there was just a little bit of like a satin sheen to it. There is still a fragrance to these blushes, but I feel like it's toned down. I remember purchasing Chanel blushes years ago and you could like smell it. Like when you purchased it new and it was still in the box and in the bag, you could smell it. I remember that distinctly. This is much more faint. It's there, but it's much more faint. All right, let me take this off and we will get into the other ones. All right, I think they're ready to go. I kind of had to wait a couple minutes because taking the other blush off, it kind of left my cheeks a little rosy, but I think they have settled down. Okay, so let's try. I really love ALEZANE and Jersey. So let's try ALEZANE. This is, oh, this has a little bit of a sheen to it. Oh, wonderful. I'm so excited. So here it is in the pan, and there's this, like, you know, a few gold sparkles in there. And here is a swatch of it on my arm. This time I'm using my Xoxo cheek slash highlight brush, and I'm gonna go into the ALEZANE. Okay, there it is. Yeah, and this definitely has like a nice kind of sheen to it. Oh, very pretty. So there is ALEZANE. We're definitely gonna have to do like comparison swatching because I don't feel like this is quite as pigmented as the original ALEZANE, but we'll do some comparisons at the end. I just wanna apply all of them for you. So there it is on the cheek, there it is without, but I'm gonna go ahead and apply it to the other side so we get a good sense of it. I do wonder if it's this brush too. This brush is very, very soft. Let me find another one. Okay, I've got my Wang number 12 brush here. This is a much denser goat hair brush. No, yeah, I really feel like these are less pigmented, which for a blush, I don't necessarily mind. I definitely like being able to build up a blush rather than looking like a total clown, even though I applied way too much up here. All right, so here is the new ALEZANE applied. Very pretty. I think I put more on this side than this side. So here's a lighter application of ALEZANE. Very pretty, and I do like the sheen to it. All right, let me remove this and we'll move on to Jersey. All right, here is the new Jersey, and this also does appear to have a bit of a satin sheen to it. And here is an arm swatch of Jersey. All right, now I'm using my Refer number 24 brush. This is a really big, fluffy blush brush. I'm gonna go into Jersey. Oh, sorry, okay. I wanted to apply to one cheek and then show you with it on and then without, but I just started applying it to both cheeks. Sorry, so this is a Jersey on my cheeks. Yeah, I'm gonna say I feel like these are less pigmented. I'm going in with a really kind of dense, natural haired brush, and I'm not even like pouncing it off or anything. I'm going straight in, and I feel like with the other Chanel blushes, I wouldn't even need to do that like more than once for both of my cheeks, and I'm going in kind of multiple times. So there is Jersey on the cheeks, really pretty, and again a really nice kind of subtle satin sheen there, really pretty. Okay, all right. Next, let's try Malice. Okay, my cheeks were getting really red from like the removing, so I actually put some concealer down there just to kind of blank out that redness. So I think we're at a good point. All right, let's go in with the new Malice. And here is Malice. And here is an arm swatch of it. This is a really nice, bright, punchy color. And I do remember feeling like, at least with the original, I had to be careful with this. So again, this will be a good test to see if I feel like the pigmentation is a little bit lighter. So I'm gonna go in with a Refer number 5 brush. Okay, so here is Malice. I made one quick swipe on this cheek before I realized I wanted to show you with it on and without. So yeah, definitely lighter pigmentation. I'm going in, you know, to the pan, I'm pouncing, and that's all I'm getting. And if you guys have experience with the older Chanel blushes, you'll know that that's generally like enough for both cheeks. So yep, lighter pigmentation for sure. But here's Malice. What a great summer color. This really just looks like my cheek color when I get hot. So there is Malice, and this one does also have a little bit of a sheen. All right, let me take this off and then we will cheek swatch the last one, Rose Initial. All right, here is Rose Initial. This one does not appear to have any sheen. I don't think the original one had much of a sheen either, so this is pretty consistent. And here is an arm swatch of it. Going in with a different Refer number 5 brush. I remember this shade being fairly light on my skin, and yeah, it still is light, and I do feel like it's taking me a bit to build it up, but it's very pretty. And out of all the shades that I purchased, this one is definitely the coolest toned. It's the most like kind of neutral pink. Yeah, so there it is on my cheeks, and it is light. It definitely is a light shade. This is a great kind of like winter shade for me. I do wish this one had a little bit of a sheen to it. I feel like it would give it something, you know? All right, so there is the last one actually cheek swatched. And like I mentioned, I would say the one thing, the major thing that I'm noticing is that these are less pigmented than the originals. But let's go ahead and compare the 4 new ones to the 4 old ones that I have. Again, Brun Rouge. Yeah, Brun Rouge 604. This one is the one that I believe is new, or I've never seen it before and I don't have the old ones. So anyway, we'll be comparing the other 4. All right, here are the comparison swatches. So for all of these, I'm gonna have the new blush on the left-hand side and the older blush on the right-hand side. So first we have ALEZANE, and the first thing I noticed for sure is that the color is actually fairly different. The older ALEZANE has a lot more red, burnt terracotta to it, and the newer one looks a lot more rust colored, I guess you could say. They have a similar level of sheen, which is, you know, great for me. I do like a sheen in my blush, but I do like the older shade more. That's just sort of personal preference for me. And as I swatch them, I do feel like, and this will go for all of them, I don't know if you'll be able to see it in the swatch so much, but I do feel like the older formula is just smoother. I don't really know what that's about. You know, I was saying when I was actually swatching them on my cheek that I felt like the older ones were less pigmented, but I just feel like that may not be the case. It's just sort of an application thing. I just feel like the older ones went on more smoothly, and maybe they just kind of appear to have more pigmentation because of it, because it was like a more even lay down of the pigment. Anyway, again, these are just sort of kind of first impressions, observations, but let's go ahead and take a look at Jersey. So again, we have the new Jersey on the left and the older Jersey on the right. And again, the shades are quite different. I feel like the new Jersey on the left looks actually very similar to the new ALEZANE. It has more of an orangey, warmer tone to it, where the Jersey, the older Jersey on the right, looks a little bit more peachy and less orange. And maybe here you can see how much more even the older Jersey is versus the newer Jersey. Next, we have Malice. And again, the shade is very different. I really built up the new swatch, the one on the left, but that one is much brighter than the one on the right, which is the older one. But again, I think maybe in this one too, you can see that the older one doesn't necessarily have more pigment, but it just looks smoother. The application just looks smoother. But in terms of color, I think I actually like the newer Malice shade more than the older one. I really do like a bright blush. And then finally, we have Rose Initial. And, you know, I don't like the new one. I don't like the new one at all. I don't really like how it applied. It was very, very light. And you can see the older Rose Initial, how much more smooth that one looks, and how the color of the older one is just kind of this brighter pink. It just looks a little bit more joyful, where the newer Rose Initial actually looks a little flat. It just looks kind of sad, like it needs a little something. So I may actually be returning the new Rose Initial. All right, well, I think I gave you all of my thoughts, especially as I talked about the swatches and, you know, what I thought about the formulas and the pigmentation and all of that. I do think the older ones are smoother, not necessarily more pigmented, which is what I was kind of thinking as I was applying it to the cheek. I was realizing as I was swatching it that I just think the older one is, I don't know. I'm going to hold off my final decision, but I do feel like the older ones are a better formula. And the new shades are not exactly the same. So if you're in love with currently with like a Chanel blush, I would get a backup maybe. I mean, I think it takes forever to work through a Chanel blush, but if you really love it and it's a blush that you use every day, you may want to get a backup. You may want to get a backup because even though, like you saw in my swatches, even though they have the same shade in this new range, they're different. The shade, the actual shade is different. So there you have it. Let me know if you have any questions down below in the comment section. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Subscribe down below if you haven't already, and I'll see you in my next video.